And we are live. What's up, everybody? Man, we keep trying to start this thing at like 8:30, but things have a way of kind of dragging out a bit at Valley Tame and Don't Let Umberto. Like, you think you started off the day as a sprint, but it ends up being a marathon sometimes. We're working on that.
Work it's like a box of chocolates, Brandon. You never know what you're gonna get.
That's right, but wouldn't trade for anything else. Fighting the good fight. So we got a lot of crazy stuff to talk about today. We got Cam, we got Humberto with us, and we're going to talk about some craziness that was said on The View today. We're going to talk about Justin Trudeau crying while saying his latest news. This rapper shot himself. China has a mystery disease. Whole bunch of stuff. So first and foremost, going to play what was said on The View today, and I want to see what you guys think of that.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
Cam, what do you think about that?
I think we in the past couple of years ago we talked about this. There's events like this, right? That if there's the movie on Netflix, the eight? Remember the one that I told you, the court case?
Which one?
Where back in the day they were protesting, and it ended up being that they caught like FBI agents undercover. The court case was a disaster, and ended up being. You remember that movie? I don't remember the movie, which one it is. But it was three different protest groups. Three protest groups that kind of came together, and they all went down, and it was just a disaster. And they didn't want to look into it too much, and then originally, once they did, they unfolded everything. Right. I still think to this day, if you look at everything that happened that day, there's still a lot of accountability that isn't being held. Right. If I'm not wrong, it was recommended to bring National Guard. They didn't want to activate National Guard for it. They were told to up security. They didn't want to up security. It's almost like they wanted it to happen. You know what I mean? And also lack of accountability, kind of like what we've been talking about in the last couple of years. It's been that's shown a lot. You know what I mean? I still to this day I think there's so many things that went wrong that you kind of got to move past it, move on, right? There's a lot worse things in history that have happened rather than January 6th. That's what I think.
You would say it's a stretch maybe to compare to the Holocaust and to World War II.
Yeah, even just now, you know what I mean? When Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, when they got, was it 4 years ago, they got nominated for Times Magazine for the best whatever award, and everybody was praising them, and then Donald Trump just got nominated for Person of the Year, and then they started comparing him to Hitler, and they started saying all that bullcrap. It's just trying to make him out look like a so evil, you know what I mean? And I think even today, if I'm not wrong, they actually got Biden saying, "Let's just move past this." You know what I mean? Let's just keep moving forward. And I think that should be that. No, you're good. I just think that should be the attitude towards January 6th.
Well, I think there was a clear narrative that they wanted to establish, but at the same time, it just didn't stick. On the other hand, you have people that been jailed without a trial for almost 4 years. Well, exactly 4 years now. That that is super unfair. I think an insurrection has a dictionary definition for a reason. I think an insurrection needs a plan from the people that want to insurrect or be the insurrected. And I don't know. To me, it looked like a protest that got out of hand. But then again, if the federal government considers it an insurrection, it must be an insurrection.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, yeah, obviously it's pretty clear that was a honeypot. I think that the fact that Nancy Pelosi didn't call the National Guard was like the clearest part of that. But I think that it's funny that the most virtuous people on paper are normally the people with the most to hide. With Sunny Hostin, for example, I always remember when you remember when she got called out for her family's questionable history. You guys remember that? I have a little video here that
Nancy Pelosi's?
no, Sunny Hostin, the lady on The View that was so like empathetic and would never forget. So if she wants us to never forget the past, I think we should never forget this.
Oh,
Go ahead. But
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was. My family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that.
But yeah, so she did like a 23andMe test on the spot, like, oh, ha, 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 fun. And he's like, yeah, actually, your family is slave owners. So if she wants to compare that to slavery and the Holocaust and everything, I mean, then I don't know, what, should we still be mad at her and her family and hold her accountable for being slave owners? So that's where I'm at with that. Like, I think it's hilarious that you could just go on TV like them and just like say the craziest things with no consequences. Like, imagine saying like the opposite of what they said. Like, oh yeah, that was like such a day of national pride and it was awesome. It was great. And it was like, one of the greatest things we ever, like, people would freak out about that, but people just like gloss over this like it was nothing because they're so used to them saying crazy stuff. But yeah, no, so they're crazy. I hope that their broadcast license gets looked at or something, because it's a whole crazy system, like the way that certain channels get special government broadcasting rights. I hope that gets looked at. But next, Trudeau had like the most feminine goodbye I've ever seen from a leader before. So did you guys see his goodbye video today?
With him crying?
Yeah.
Right in front of his house.
I love that video.
Here.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
So I think that's like, do you think that's even real crying, or is that like theater crying where he's like trying to like make it happen, or does he actually feel that way, Humberto?
I don't believe anything that Justin Trudeau has to say. First of all, he's French. Second of all, he's Canadian.
Maybe Cuban.
Maybe Cuban, but definitely a leftist. And it's not a big deal for him. Like, he's gonna go make his real money now.
Yeah. No, he's been like building up favors or giving out favors for a bunch of years now, and he's probably gonna get some sweet gig now. Cam, what do you think? Oh god.
He's gonna get a book deal. He's gonna get a Netflix series, and just watch how his net worth goes up by hundreds of millions.
Yep. Cam, what you got?
I think it's all fake tears. I think it's a great example of the Trump effect. You know what I mean? I think he's dropping out now because after that meeting, I think he's intimidated by what Trump told him. You know what I mean? Raising the tariffs on him and having to put that negative on his career. You know what I mean? As bad as it's already been. And I know Canada isn't economically in a great state. And so I don't think he wanted to take that full hit on his career, you know what I mean, of everything going down even more. There was something about him even afterwards. There's another interview where he was talking about he just hopes that the Canada goes to more of a 2, 3, or is it 3, 4 parties, so that the people have more option and all this. And he said he wished he would have done that in his career. And it's like, okay, buddy, like,
I'm sure.
yeah, and I know a lot of people. I know they have an immigration problem as well. I know that they've had people that go there and they have, what is it, the universal health care. And I know that a lot of programs that they've had haven't been as successful. I know people, I've had family members that actually tried to go move to Canada, and student visa and all these other things. They were promised the world and all this, and then they got there, and it was not like that. And then they were struggling for a bit. So definitely, I think it could be potentially a positive thing for Canada, him leaving. But I think it's all fake. I think he's a big sellout.
Oh yeah, and I mean, speaking of like fake and acting and like one of the most insincere people in the world, like this is the dude that'll like go out and kneel with people like during the BLM thing, and like the virtue signaling overload. But then like when other people on the other side are unhappy with something, like the trucker protest, he sent the like the Canadian police or Canadian FBI in there to like viciously break that shit up, and had like no sympathy for people who are upset about inflation, no sympathy for people who are upset about the vax mandate or like that. Like he was trying to make truckers lose their job because they didn't get the job.
Real quick, make sure you're not muted on your channel. You're coming in a little echoey here.
Am I getting an echo?
A little bit.
Yeah, let me know if I'm echoing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, like one of the most like contradictory people ever, like when in terms of what he says versus like the actions that he does. Like he acted like he was this people loving, like virtue signaling guy, but like a vicious dictator when it really came down to it. Like he was like a legit authoritarian with a lot of things that he was doing. But Pierre Poilievre's a gangster, and I really hope that he gets in. Like I hope
he's so French.
Pierre.
Yeah, let's look his name, Pierre Poilievre.
French, but I mean, like what else do you want from Canada? Like something like a dude.
Nah, they need to stop selecting French people.
Well, what else they got? Muslims?
I mean,
what's the demographic of Canada? French and Muslim.
I don't know about that, Brandon.
What else? What they got?
But and I need to add another thing. He debanked people that made donations to the trucker program.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
not only that, but like people who donated to GoFundMe, he like shut down their GoFundMe accounts and took that money away.
Was that when the truckers were protesting?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that.
He had no chill.
But what a gangster, I guess, like statement, like just or the Trump effect, like what Trump has a meeting with him and talks some shit and says like, oh yeah, if you don't start paying up on these tariffs, then you're going to become the 51st state and you're going to be a governor. And then he shrivels up and everybody in his government starts resigning from their positions, and then he just like poof evaporates into dust. Right? Like that's a sick impact from Trump already. All right, so if I guess probably the most feminine leader I've ever seen, including females. Like he did say he's a feminist, but like I've never even seen a female act that weak upon resigning or like in a difficult situation. So I'm glad that era is over. So next, a little bit more of a lighthearted story. This podcast, I guess you could say, podcast gone wrong.
And choices we got in life, those were your choices. Who shot who?
Hey, look at the guy in front of you, buddy.
Oh.
First of all, I love how casual they are. Like a fucking gun went off and like they barely even touched. Like, oh shit, who did that? Like as if a phone was ringing. That's the most ghetto thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know what's crazier, that like he had his gun in his pocket and he shot it back then, or that like, he just didn't have it was a big deal.
And oh my god! And the other guy checked if it was him. Like nobody.
Yeah, like everybody in the room was just like checking their pockets and their phones.
He's just casually asking around, like, "Hey, who was that?
That me?"
I mean, this is an opportunity for gun safety. You can't carry a gun in your pocket with, loaded, no safety, probably not even a trigger guard, nothing, no holster, no nothing.
Oh, seriously, dude. Like people always tell me like, oh, why don't you do the appendix carry, like where you got your gun like right over your freaking junk? And I'm like, no, I will never do an appendix carry. Screw that. Like people who do that are like, I know people who do the appendix carry with one in the chamber. I'm like, you are a psychopath. Never. Cam, have you ever done that?
Hell no. No, sir. No, sir.
You know people like that.
Keep it on the side, brother. Keep it on that fucking side, dog.
That's just fine.
And take the side of my fucking leg, but don't go near my fucking groin.
Like, I mean, if you know what you're doing, is perfectly fine. You know, like
you're doing.
I mean, the other thing too, if you end up fucking hitting your thyroid, you're gonna hit the arterial. You know what I mean?
I'd honestly rather hit the femoral artery and just make it go quick than like, hit my junk and have to deal with all that.
No.
What?
And it's so casual too. His face was just like, yo, and he doesn't want to say anything. He don't want to be like,
watch it again.
He just keep it. Look at his face right away. It's like,
And choices
why are you
we
even
got
asking
in
her
life,
who
those were your choices.
Whoa.
So he flinched a little, but the guy on the left doesn't flinch at all. Look.
Looking down.
Look at his jeans. It's not the first time it happened. It happened like 6 or 7 times. It's all everywhere.
They're both so calm.
He just looks down at his leg.
Who shot who?
Who shot who?
Somebody got shot.
This is a regular Tuesday.
Oh man.
Oh
That's a
man,
different world.
that is a bad look.
Like in the civilization that we live in, like police would be getting called and like reports would be getting filed and people would be screaming, but like it sounds like there's like 9 people in that room. Nobody even screamed.
Hey, do we know if they continue the podcast? That'd be gangster.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh man, I don't know. Should I look that up quick?
Yeah, you should.
Do you guys have any more to add to this while I look it up quick?
Oh man. I mean,
Gun safety advice at the very least. I mean, come on.
like,
Where did he go wrong?
I'm glad I live in a country where everyone has the right to have a gun. And acts like this will
People
weed them
like
out.
this ruin it.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. They're gonna get weeded out because this
things
can
like
happen at
this.
once. Yeah.
I think
Freaking
like
flexible,
people always have one around the chamber. Like, I'm ready to go, hot and go. But it takes 2 seconds to cock it back, man. It takes 2 seconds to cock it back. Just be safe.
I know that too.
Don't have. I mean, if you're walking around, let's say you're walking around New York City and you're like, man, I just feel sketched out. Wherever you're walking around, wherever you are, right, and you're just like, man, I feel sketchy. Okay, sure, take it out, put one in the chamber. You know what I mean? But I mean, you're at a freaking podcast, dude. Why do you have one in the chamber? You know what I mean? Literally, you can take it out, cock it back, and just go. I don't know why people do that. I don't get it.
I know, like, chill out. Okay, so I did find some more intel on this. It gives a little bit of a play-by-play. All right, so
When
a voice off the camera can be heard saying, "You good, Lo?" It's like he said, "I hope." The rapper answered, "Y'all good?"
Stevie P in the chat goes, he pulls it out like it's candy that melted in his pocket. That's a great, that's literally facts right there. That's literally what it was like, dude. He's just looking down like he just had chocolate in his hand, like,
oh shit. Then, all right, so here's the narration of the play-by-play. Then after you say y'all good, Mike D got up and looked around the room for the bullet, which wasn't found while the camera was running. As the person off camera repeatedly said the F word, the veteran host and former screwed up click member decided it was time to end the episode. Damn, only the dirty third on that one with Mike D. I thought my bleep shot me. Everybody good?
Oh my god.
So,
Oh my god.
Yeah, gun safety, everybody. We all want guns, but we don't need that. All right. Next, what we got next? Maybe not so much of a lighter story, but this is probably the biggest story of the day. So, do you guys know who Skip Bayless is?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, what would you say if first take, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Dallas Cowboys, all that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if I told you that Skip Bayless allegedly, according to this girl, we don't know if it's true or not, but allegedly offered this woman right here, Norshin Faraj, $1.5 million to have sex with her.
Mm-hmm. With him.
Yeah, like he offered her $1.5 million to have sex with her.
Mm-hmm.
Humberto, you believe this?
100%, I don't believe this.
Okay, why?
Because first of all, look at her. Is she 1.2 million worth?
Hell no.
All right, all right. I rest my case.
That's it? Just
Brandon, come on.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the guy's state of mind is, but it's like I looked up his net worth, and it's only 17. Like, not only 17 mil, but 1.5 out of 17 mil. So, like, $1 million out of 20 mil would be what? What would that be? Like 2.5%? Am I doing that right? No, that'd be a 1.1 mil out of 20 mil would be 5%. So, 1.5 out of 17. That'd be like a sizable chunk of your net worth.
Come on, Brandon. Come on. I mean, it's not. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
All right.
For that money, Brandon. Let me say this. For that
Yeah,
money,
you go to Thailand and like have the time of his life.
you can go to like any country that is in America and buy like 10 women.
Yeah.
And
like you want to deal with a spoiled American attitude for 1.5 mil?
Nah, and those numbers, Brandon, they're not real. Like that cannot be real. Like for that money, I'm sure if you go to Hollywood, you could actually,
Ew, is this her? This is her on the left right here?
I don't know. I can't really. Let me see.
I think it is. Yeah, that's her.
Oh, that is rough, Brandon.
Jeez, she's busted.
But Brandon,
this is making me mad if she made this up. What's up?
No, but let's say like you go to Hollywood.
Yep.
I think with that money you can bang someone very famous.
Dude, like from what I hear, you could go to Thailand and like live the rest of your life doing things like that for probably like 100,000.
He could go. He could go to Vegas. He could go. There's other places you go in the world and pay a quarter of that.
Yeah. So what do you think, Cam? You think this is true or not true?
I don't know. I think it's interesting because he has talked shit. What was it? Bill Belichick. He's talked shit on Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. That whole ordeal with Robert Kraft back in the day.
That's right. He did.
You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting. Like, I'm actually interested. He tends to piss me off whenever I always watch his opinions and whenever he's taking his takes. So I think it's interesting. If it ends up being true, all I can only do is just laugh at him because of how he's criticized other people who have ran into these situations. Now, whether it's true or not, who the hell knows? I'm sure it'll continue to develop or whatever. But I think it's hilarious. He's talked shit on a lot of people who've been caught, trying to offer other people to have sex with prostitutes or whatever. So
he's always so pompous on his freaking high horse.
Yeah, he like it's good to see him bleed a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he always he's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Is that 1.2 million taxable?
I don't know.
If he were to pay it to have sex?
Yeah.
What do you mean is it taxable? Like for her?
Would it be considered a gift?
Yeah, I mean, what would she even write down the invoice as?
Oh man, I bet her CPA must be so mad.
All right, so it looks like this is going to be developing because it's even as recent as 25 minutes ago. There's still stuff coming out about this.
Yeah, when I woke up today is when it actually just had come out, so I'm sure it definitely.
Yeah, I saw that Portnoy was calling bullshit on it. Oh, Sharp breaks silence on it. He's his co-host. Let's see what he said. Shannon Sharp has weighed on a lawsuit filed against former sports hairstylist who alleges misconduct and harassment by high-profile figures at networks. Oh, so multiple figures. Claims involve Sharp's former co-host Bayless, Joy Taylor, and executive Charlie Dixon. Is Joy Taylor a woman? So she's
I don't know, Brandon. Don't judge.
No, I mean that'll just be a first. If a woman-on-woman sexual misconduct at work. I've never heard of that. You heard of that?
See that? Yeah. So that's where he is, right there. Right. He's saying that Skip Bayless was talking shit about Sharp, right?
No. So this is a Sharp's reaction. This is that's what the
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. Sharp said that has nothing to do with me. There's nothing to address. Blah blah blah. Those 42 pages doesn't mention Shannon Sharp, but y'all want clicks. So you mention me. That's what he said. You can say I'm loud. You can say I'm obnoxious. You can say I'm arrogant. But try to poo-poo my career. Hasn't round that started out special teams. Played so well. Blah blah blah. Try to minimize. I consider Skip a friend. For you to take that kind of personnel shot at me, really hurt me. All right, so that's the route he took. All right, so you guys are both no on it, or Humberto's a hard no. Ken, you're holding out to see.
I'm holding out to see, man. I'm actually interested because, like, again, for me, it's no hate, but if that motherfucker did get involved in that, good, man. I mean, like, bleed a little. You know what I'm saying? He's always on his high horse. He's always talking shit about everybody. And like I said, you know, he went after Robert Kraft. You know what I mean? And so I'm cool with it, man.
Guys in the chat, put a 1 if you think Skip did it. Put a 2 if you think Skip did not do it. Because oh man, I feel like maybe he did something like said something that could have been taken out of context. Like, oh yeah, baby, I'll take you to this place or this place. You know how much this is worth, and you know she kind of like maybe stretched it a little bit. Because anybody who acts that proper, I'll tell you, I think they got something to hide.
Oh, 100%.
You know, the most virtue signaling people out there that like do the most preaching, a lot of the times they have the most to hide.
Have you ever met a guy that doesn't swear?
I've met guys who claim to not swear, but that's a red flag for me.
A big red flag.
Yeah, like let it rip. Like, but is that what Skip says? He says he doesn't swear.
No, I'm just saying it's just righteous people that they have hidden secrets.
Yeah. Okay. So the jury's still out for that. Looks like.
Should prostitution be made legal, Brandon?
Should prostitution be legal?
It's already legal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's a tough one because I could argue both sides of that one because you could say it might be safer if it was legal and regulated and like maybe like people have the right to make money off their body if they want to, then and like consenting adults have the right to like pay people to do what they're willing to do. You could argue that, but it also like I think in any place that's legal, it's led to the kind of degradation of society. Like where's been legal before? The Weimar Republic, Vegas. I don't know, is Vegas kind of holding it together? It's not that bad. Is Vegas a disaster?
No, I mean, I'll add my part to it real quick, which I think it should be. I think it should be. I think there's many countries that do it. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those things where it also hits lower income that demographic. Not necessarily always, but it does typically. You also have a lot of women who've been arrested for it. You know what I mean? And guys who've been arrested for it. I mean, I think if you turn on old, what is it, the Miami PD back in the day, they always show, and even now, even cop show now, they have sting operations. I mean, just if you legalize it, then you're gonna take people out. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen no matter what, right? So you have a little more control, a little more safety, a little more clean. You clean up the streets a little bit, right? You take that from being out in the street as much. Now you can say, I mean, they legalize marijuana. People are still selling marijuana illegally. Sure, yeah, but at least you have a little more clean route. You know what I mean? Right. I think it's a society view on it that would have to change. You know what I mean? I mean, Japan does it. Europe does it. You know what I mean? There's plenty of, like I said, plenty of countries in Asia that do it. Red light districts in Amsterdam and Paris and all these places. Like, so I don't think it necessarily should be illegal. I think it should be legalized. I mean, it is what it is. If that's someone's profession, then so be it.
Like the thing is that right now I think it is legal here because I think that OnlyFans does prostitution, just dry prostitution.
Well, yeah, and I mean the question would be too, like, would it lower or increase the amount of human trafficking if it became legal? Because you could say like, yeah, it would decrease the amount of human trafficking because the reason that human trafficking is so prevalent, same reason as the mafia, kind of blew up during the prohibition because, people still seek that stuff and people who are willing to do illegal things will capitalize on that. So I guess an argument could be made that it would, take power away from like legit human traffickers. So like, I guess that'd be a good thing. And if it's highly regulated, I can see the like benefit of that compared to what it is right now. Because right now it seems like a pretty nasty thing. But it is hilarious though that porn is legal and prostitution is not legal. Like you see that episode of Family Guy where the guy and the girl are hooking up and like the guy gives the girl money and the cops bust in and they're like, freeze, you're under arrest. And they're like, wait, no, there's a camera right there. Like, oh, okay, sorry to bother you.
Huh?
Go for it. Go for it.
No. So like making the example of like how close of a thing porn is to prostitution and like why is porn perfectly acceptable and like this like flourishing thing, but like prostitution seems as like this big different thing. I'm sure you're on the side of like they should both be illegal, but then from a free market standpoint, I don't know, it's a tough one because it's like, what's more important, free market or culture and degradation of society?
I will actually surprise you, Brandon.
Okay.
I mean, in an ideal world, I would make both legal, but I would actually switch them around for a little bit.
Porn illegal, prostitution legal?
Yeah, because we need to get the kids out of the house. It's so sad. I'm being serious. At least with prostitution, they need to get a job. They need to get a job. They need to walk outside, whatever. So let's just make prostitution legal, porn illegal, and get all these motherfuckers out of their house.
Make prostitution legal again?
Yeah, they have to work for it. I don't know if you work at a McDonald's or like I don't know. But you need to make money, to hire a lady.
Yeah, you get yourself through college. I mean, shit.
Yeah. So that will move the economy in a very positive way.
Oh, a little economic boost, a little stimulus boost. There we go. Okay, so that is the consensus on Skip Bayless and legalized prostitution. I'm sure he loves that those two things are being talked about with him. All right, so next, mystery disease outbreak in China overwhelms hospitals in chilling echo of COVID dark days. But China's downplaying the mystery virus deaths and claims it's safe to travel despite pandemic fears. Cam.
Man. If you're kind of looking at it, what the article itself is saying, that it's looking like early COVID days, 100%. It does look like it. I don't know, man. I think everybody has some PTSD post 2020. You know what I mean? And there's whether I still don't think we realize the impact that 2020 and 2021 had on society as a whole, right? So I think there's still a little PTSD. I think there's still some fear. And I think this is just one of those articles that are just jabbing at that fear again, right? Where you're just kind of like, fuck, no, dude, don't tell me they're doing this shit again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, just watching a documentary with some buddies. I forget the guy who used to be a reporter. He's now on his own. I forget his name. Anyways, he's got his own media now, and through his channel, there's actually a whole documentary where they really, really, really exposed COVID and what was going on, Fuji and all that, and all just how dirty it was. But I don't know. I feel like also there's this backlash now. Also, I think there's this. I think by now the general public won't allow shutdown to happen again the way it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we do know that now. I think engineered, what is it? The proper technical term, I don't know, but genetically, made or lab made viruses are a thing. So maybe this is another one. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting what comes of it. I have seen the last couple of days, there's been little reports on this, and I'm kind of interested to see what they try to say it is now and whatever comes of it. it'll be interesting. I think we are in the early days of it. I don't know. I mean, the other one that's also going on, the norovirus, you know what I mean? I think that's another one they tried to make it a
And the
big deal.
bird
It's just,
flu and all that shit.
yeah, I mean, it's just what, the stomach bug? Cool, man. Like,
Humberto, what you got?
I think it's what they did during the 2020 pandemic is so dangerous, because the probability of an actual lethal pandemic taking everyone out is real.
Mm-hmm.
We are one lab leak away from everyone dying. But since they already did this pandemic that wasn't lethal enough, um, we're in a dangerous world because if it's real this time, nobody was gonna follow the instructions.
Yeah, I just think it's funny the timing of it, because we've heard of bird flu like a bunch of times for the past 4 years. Like it's like they keep experimenting, seeing how we will react to it, or like react to them making a big thing out of it. I don't think anybody really took it too seriously. Before COVID, there was like a bunch of these things where they're like, oh, swine flu, and the whatever the thing was from Brazil, like where it was like
Zika.
yeah, Zika. There, like that was a whole thing. I like my opinion. I think we can say it's not on YouTube. Is that like COVID was like an agreement amongst like the global elite to make big decisions. Like they agreed to do what they did and like shut down things and stimulate the world, because it served multiple things at the same time. Like there's a lot of problems with the banking industry. There's a lot of problems with Wall Street and like I won't get into all the technicals of the economy, but there's big problems with money, and they needed a big 2008 type injection, because the 2008 was like on the horizon. They inject $6 trillion into the economy, and then like also you could argue it had like a lot of advantages for the like what was happening with the election. And right now, I just think anything that comes out of left field like this is weird on the heels of the inauguration. Like I'm super paranoid about everything that I hear right now, because I think that the same people that are responsible for 2020 are very aggressively thinking and planning and meeting and strategizing. I think anything's on the table. Like I'm in a high state of paranoia right now. So I don't think that the disease itself is something scary, but I think that like the lengths that people are willing to go to, that's the scary thing.
Yeah,
I think they're in desperation survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I wouldn't discount that something may happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, if like a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, then like did it actually fall? Versus like if a tree doesn't fall in the forest and everybody thinks they heard a tree fall, did the tree fall? So it's like if there wasn't a threat in 2020, but everybody acted like there was a threat, it doesn't make a difference if there's a threat or not. Then like we still have like the reaction of the result of the threat. So it's like could be just as damaging in a whole different way.
Real quick, Alan Greenspan. He
it's my homie.
Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is the one. I know I keep fucking fucking it up. But the fucking
come on, get together.
On Tucker's media page, there's the documentary, and that's where they went real in depth, and it's actually really good. It's not like super conspiracy. It's just actually spitting out facts and talking to a lot of different people that were involved even in politics during that time. And he pulls out receipts, man. He pulls out a lot of receipts. So if anybody wants to see anything on that, highly recommend going down that path. It's very, 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 very interesting.
Oh,
I mean, it goes back to even bioengineered virus since like 2000s, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts. It really, really breaks it down really cool. So
good to know. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of good stuff lately, Tucker. He's been doing a lot of good documentaries. All right, so if you guys have nothing else on that you want to add, what do you think about TikTok? Because Trump went from being really opposed to TikTok, I think right before the end of his last presidential term, saying that they're spying on us, it's a dangerous national security threat and all that. So now Trump's saying, why would I want to get rid of TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
So Humberto, what do you think about that? Trump doing a 180 on TikTok.
This is dangerous behavior. And I also saw Charlie Kirk very adamant to keep TikTok not banned.
Once it
But
benefits him.
anyone that huh?
I said once it benefits him.
Yeah, you can't be changing your mind because now you're on top. TikTok is a Chinese super weapon, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's what it is, and it should be banned.
Could I change your mind if I show you this? I don't know if you saw this today, but like, I mean, I'm with you on that, but this makes me feel a little bit better because he's been saying a lot of good stuff lately.
We want to. And then on midday, 12:05, Trump will be who we have to work with to close the deal in the months ahead. So I wanted to let him know, as well as others in his cabinet, that we're doing this, and we're going to need their help.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting story to watch. I want to go back to that, but I want to.
So Kevin O'Leary is part of the team that's buying TikTok. Does that change your opinion at all, Humberto?
No, it makes it even worse.
Why?
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful.
He's wonderful. What? What's wrong?
You like him?
I mean, he's been saying things that, like, I mean, compared to Mark Cuban, he's been saying things that are pretty much things that.
Oh yeah, compared to Mark Cuban, everyone's
a joke, but he's been. I mean, like, what have you disagreed with that he said over the last couple of years? He's been speaking reasonable.
But the thing is, Brandon, is all right. Let's say you're having pizza, okay?
Yep.
And I decide to take a shit on one of the slides.
Oh,
the slices, all right?
Yeah.
Would you have the slice on the other corner?
No, that would probably ruin the whole pie.
Well, Brandon, that's what happens with code, all right? That code is poison. You don't know how many backdoors it has. You know what control, even if they sell it, you don't know what control they still have over the platform, how much it can spy over the platform. I think it's a poison algorithm, it's poison code, and I don't think we have the capability to like audit TikTok enough for it to be safe for the American public.
I think I agree with you mostly up until I would wonder if we have the capabilities to make it secure and make sure that we audit it and see what they're able to do with it. And I think it's important to get our hands on it and for an American company with American interests to see what it's been doing, what it's capable of, and like if we could prevent the transfer of data. Cam, what do you think?
What do I think about it?
Yeah, like are you in favor of keeping TikTok? I know you love your TikTok. Do you think we should keep it? You think it's dangerous?
I think TikTok is Pandora's box, and there's no closing it. I think whether you're for or against it, it's going to stay. I think when Trump was against it, when you saw a lot of censorship going on in TikTok. I mean, if you even remember back when you started, how many times you would start a TikTok account and it'd get shut down.
I had like 7 accounts.
Yeah. So I think when he was against it originally, they were doing a lot of censorship, and then even when they first got the whole threatened to be banned, TikTok started kind of dialing back on so much censorship. Even one of his guys who we talked about, remind me his name. Remember the guy who we talked about goes to colleges? Remind me his name.
Charlie Kirk.
Yes. Even he talked about how, originally TikTok wasn't working out so much well for him. And then after the ban, TikTok kind of laid back on so much censorship. They had a couple things they had to agree on what not to post, and they let everything else go. And I think you're going to see this kind of back and forth. I think what's his name, Mr. Wonderful buying it. It's really just to be a new face for the company. You know what I mean? Whether he buys the whole thing, part of it. I remember back in the day, there was videos going around. I forget the guy's name again. Sorry, I'm horrible with names and remembering names. No. Somebody else. Back in the day, they were saying that if we truly knew who was behind TikTok, we would be terrified. I don't fucking know, but still.
You're thinking of the guy that said that about Bitcoin too?
I think so.
The guy
This
that
is
saying
the
he pulled bolts out of bed in the morning.
I think it's the older cat, right? The older dude. Yeah, he was saying like, so like I think there's all this fear behind TikTok. I think TikTok could be used in a positive way, just like any other social media. I mean, if you look at Instagram, some people are against Instagram, man. You know what I mean? Has it had positive and negative impact in society? 100%. So I think again, it's just Pandora's box. And again, I think it's all going to be relevant until the next big, social media platform gets built. You know what I mean? Or it might just be stuck on, the top ones. You know what I mean? How it plays out, I'll be interested to see how it does.
I'm torn on this one because, like I think the toughest part when you're trying to get started in social media and like have a presence and all that, like it's getting that initial spark. And out of all the apps, like when I was starting from zero 2 years ago, TikTok was by far the easiest one. You remember this? Like I got a 1 million view video on TikTok within like the first 2 weeks, and like everything else was just dormant and dead. But I had a call to action from YouTube at the end of the TikTok video, luckily. So that I got like 20,000 people on TikTok within like the first 2 weeks because of a 1 million view video, and then that drove like a couple hundred people to YouTube, and that got that going. But like nothing else is like that. So I don't know if that's something that they could do on like Instagram or X or YouTube could do on their end with the algorithm. But I don't know. TikTok is a really like favorable algorithm to new creators, and but at the same time, I do wonder what kind of stuff they've gotten on us, like with the amount of data they've gotten from us, and like the way they've been able to steer certain content towards us and make us dumber. So I think it's a matter of national security to get our hands on, to get control of it. Like if we aren't able to get an American company to have control over it, like, it definitely shouldn't be allowed in the U.S. until that does take place. And then once an American company does take control of it, I think like it's upon like the onus is upon the government that they do an audit of it like extensively and see what we've given up, what they've taken from us, and like what it's capable of doing. So I'm happy that O'Leary's taking control of it. I don't think it would be good if it just was an outright ban. I think it's better that we get American control over it because too many people are obsessed with it. It's a popular app right now.
I think if he does buy it, I'd be interested also to see. I don't think he's gonna do it like Elon when he bought Twitter and you know what I mean.
Like release files and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be
really
like that.
Though, it's like
it would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting. I think it'd be redeeming character for him to do that.
But how much would it be? I don't think he has the money for it.
No, he's part of like a group of people that are buying it.
Yeah, it's a team. He's just kind of the face of it. That's why I'm saying whoever ends up buying it is, and whoever like for him, he'd be the face of it. You know what I mean? It's going to be more than one investor on that. You know what I mean? Whether it be silent partners or not.
Because how much did Twitter sell for? 400 billion?
No, 40.
40 billion?
No, it was on the down, was it?
No, he bought it for 42 billion. He overpaid for it, but yeah, the closing price is 40 something billion. TikTok is estimated to be worth 84 billion.
All right, still a reasonable number.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not like thrilled about it, but I'm not upset about it. Like, I think we're in a better position if Americans take ownership of it and instead of it just going away. So that's that. And then next, NYPD applicant numbers drop 55%. Guys, if you were in law enforcement, how low would New York City be on your list of cities you'd want to be a cop in? Cam, go.
It'd be the worst job ever.
Yeah.
Who's going?
Go ahead, Humberto. Go ahead, Humberto. Go.
I can't think of a worse job than being a New York City cop right now.
What a shame! Like it was such a prestigious thing for a while. Like they're like kind of like their own private army. It was like 50,000 cops in that city.
Like I'd rather be a nice crab hunter.
Deadliest catch.
Yeah, that sounds safer.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like it's not the danger I think that people are upset with. It's the lack of leadership having your back. And look at the thing with Daniel Penny. Like you save people from somebody who's trying to potentially hurt them, and then you're the one who gets in trouble. So like, what the fuck are these cops supposed to do? And like they feel like they're totally neutered. They're like handcuffed themselves. Like if they see shit happening, it's like a liability to try to step in and do something about it. So I don't think it has anything to do with like absorbent crime rates. I think it has to do with the leadership not having their back.
Oh, 100% agree.
This lady's a certified psychopath. Cam, what do you think?
I think all EMS is currently struggling to get people to get into the job force, and that's me. You know, my background now as a firefighter. It's something that I've heard. It's a problem everywhere. Obviously, this story is mainly talk about New York, right? The New York story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, New York City is very, very dangerous, right? Everything we keep seeing. We know people who live in New York, and they're saying it ain't dangerous, or it just depends where you're at. You know what I mean? Right place. You know, some people it's wrong place, wrong time. You know what I'm saying? When we went back in the day and did some interviewing in New York City, and it seemed that bad. The section we were walking obviously was in the better end of the economy part of it. But am I gonna right now go try to walk around Queens at 2-3 in the morning? Heck no. You know what I mean? So I think it's where you're at. What?
Maybe if you're suicidal.
Yeah, I mean, there's also always like when I went to Cancun back in the day, everyone's like, "Oh, be careful, the Chapo is out, it's dangerous." And then you talk to people who actually live in New York, and they're going to tell you, well, it is dangerous, or it isn't dangerous, or this area, don't go to this area, that area. But I think overall cops, now their rules of engagement are different. You know what I mean? And like you said, it comes down to a leadership problem. I don't know. I think it's a culture and a society problem. You know what I mean? And I think it goes even far beyond that. I mean, are they underpaid? I'd be interested to see how much New York police department's paying, how much funding they really got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't always just look at just what is one department, or I'm trying to look at the big picture if you get what I'm saying. I'm just not looking at one thing. I'm looking at the big picture. Why could this be going on?
Well, I think it comes down to leadership, because I mean, remember how bad it was before Giuliani became mayor of New York, and then he really started cracking down on crime, and like he was a big part of bringing New York from like this scary, rundown ghetto place to like a booming, thriving place that people wanted to go to again. And people don't want to walk around outside and not feel safe, but it's like when the governor feels like they're more apathetic and on the side of the criminals rather than like the law enforcement, and kind of just like shits on law enforcement every time she speaks. It's like I said, I think that men, like a lot of men who are like have that defensive like oriented aspect to them, where they like want to help and defend people. Like they don't care about the danger. Like a lot of dudes are willing to just run out there into danger to help people, but if you're asking them to run out into danger and risk their lives, but then in addition to that, the leadership not having their back and them not getting, a fair treatment if they do something to try to protect people, then that's the final straw. Like I don't think a lot of people are willing to sign up for that, because why would you? So to continue the disaster of New York, so the first ever congestion tolls taken effect in New York. So commuters now have to pay $9 to drive below 60th Street, and they're saying this is what they need to do to raise $15 billion to finish infrastructure that's incomplete. And the FDNY is saying that congestion at the tolls will hurt response times and could mean the difference between life and death. So just a shit show all the way around. And you got anything to say about that, Kim?
So I was actually kind of looking at this. There's a couple of things on this, right? I was seeing that there was actually people who were in favor and protesting in the streets for this. They wanted not so much congestion in the center of Manhattan. People were saying they're having commute problems. There's a lot of
to deter people from taking that route.
Yes, there was a lot of people who worked in the center of Manhattan were saying like, hey, like this is messing with us. You know what I mean? We can't get to work. There's a lot of angles on this. First off, they already get enough money from people coming in and out of New York City with those tolls being like $30 every time you come in and out of New York City. If I'm not wrong, I think it's like every time. I think last time I got a toll charge, it was like $20. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They're aggressive if you don't pay that shit back.
Very, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And I think this is horrible. I think this is not a great thing. But some of the people did vote for this. Some people did want this. It was supported by a good bit of people, and I think this is not the first time. It didn't just pass. It's been presented the bill a couple of times. I think it just finally passed, if I remember reading correctly. But I think it's not a good thing.
So real quick before Humberto goes, so I think a big part of this problem is that I read this book called The Power Broker, which talks about this dude named Robert Moses, who basically was like the master bureaucrat behind a lot of the infrastructure and like highways and bridges and like local infrastructure construction projects that happen in New York. Like he was like a wizard in terms of like orchestrating this like massive interconnected thing that ended up becoming New York. Before he did what he did, like it was like super fragmented and wasn't even like close to what it is today. But he like built such a monster in terms of like interconnected infrastructure that's just like a disaster to try to do infrastructure projects today, and especially with like the bureaucracy and red tape and like zoning and like there's just like layers and layers and layers of bullshit to try to get shit done. So like like I mean, it was like night and day. We lived in Texas 2 years ago, and like there was hardly any like bullshit going on in terms of like seeing like construction sites that weren't moving. Like like we really watched like highways get built in the course of a couple of months. Like you never saw any stagnation in terms of like people just sitting around. But in New York, you drive around, everything's crumbling. Like the construction site looks like it's been sitting there for years. So it's just like a whole different thing in terms of like how state projects are given out and like whether they're given to unions or private contractors or whatnot. So like, I think that's a big part of it too. So like they always address these problems in the wrong way. Like, oh, we don't have enough money to do it, so we need to like tax you more to have enough money to do it, instead of saying like, okay, why is this such a disaster? Why aren't we finishing these projects in a timely manner? Why is it like everything falling apart? Why can't we be efficient about things?
I think real quick, Humberto, I know you're about to go, but one big that this affects right away, it does affect Uber drivers. I don't know, and I'm assuming it might probably hit taxi services too. So those are two industries that will be affected heavily by this. So I'm kind of
interested. Give them an exemption. That's a good point, though.
What's that?
They should give them an exemption, but that's a good point.
Yeah,
like
that's what I think. If you could prove, whatever, you show the state you're an Uber driver, or if you're a taxi driver, I think you should be exempt from it as well. But that's and I don't know as far much as taxis, but even I know for sure one thing I did read was that Uber drivers are actually very upset about it in New York, because now that's part of their fee that they're gonna have to pay every day. And I mean, it's I don't know how it's all working out, if it's every time you come in and out. I'm assuming so, right? And the time of the day you're there, and what happens if you have to pick somebody up that's going out where if you're is it $3 every time, and then you got to go drop them off back $6. You know what I mean? On a $20 drive, let's say you just made a $30 drive, there goes part of your profit. But yeah, go ahead, Humberto, my bad.
Good point. Humberto, what do you think?
Isn't this unfair? Like, I mean, what are your options? They're leaving the people from New York, and most of the people that actually commute there, that is, because everyone's been priced out of New York. So you have people that live in Jersey and, other, towns and cities next to New York, because most normal people can't afford to live in New York anymore. So the people that you drove out of New York, now you're going to charge them. This is so unfair. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, no, I don't even know how people live there anymore with how expensive it is, and like the combination of being expensive and just straight up scary to live. I mean, it's a rough combo. And that's why I saw over $1 trillion of wealth has left New York, and a separate $1 trillion of wealth has left California, and $1 trillion of wealth has entered both Texas and Florida. So, that's not by accident. It's because people who have money are doing that. It's just not smart to be there right now.
I think this is a tipping point of some people that were on the fence. Like, should I stay here living in New Jersey and work in New York, or should I move? Like, this is one of those moments. It's a should I move moment.
A should I move moment? Yeah, exactly. Do you want to deal with this? Like, what are you
Can
paying?
you afford this, Brendan? Imagine $30 a day. Just do the math.
On top of 12% state income taxes, like we have 0% state income taxes here. Like, imagine paying another 12% on your income.
So, I think this will price out not only people in New York. This will price out people that live around New York, and this is gonna be the moment they're gonna be like, we can't afford to live here anymore.
Yeah, they got to put their foot down. I mean, that's the reason I think New York was single digits this year for the election. I think, normally it's like a 20-point state for the Democrats, but I think it was like under 10 points this year in terms of like getting closer to Trump. And then Hochul almost lost the governor's race in 2022. That was like a 4-point victory for her. So it's getting close. People are getting fed up with it. I guess the pain's not quite great enough yet, but it's getting there.
Hold up. I'm getting very, very echoey on that. I don't know, Brandon.
From me?
Yeah, very, very echo right now.
Chat, let us know, please, if you're catching an echo. You still catching it?
Yeah. It randomly just got a little more for me. I don't know.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we have Tom Homan, the borders are saying that we need to look in harder for terror threats, including inside the military. So on the heels of what just happened with the military, the 2 terrorist attacks, guys who are former military, what do you think, Cam? As somebody who's in the military, do you think this is a one-off, or do you think it's something we have to look more closely at?
I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. On my end, I couldn't really even understand what you even said. Umberto, if you could tell me what he said, if you heard it clear on your end. On my end, I can't really
hear me now?
Better. There we go. That's clear. That's clear.
Okay, so I said Tom Homan is now saying that we need to not only look for terror threats like across the country, but within the military. So as somebody who's in the military, do you think that this was a one-off having these 2 guys do what they did, or do you think this is something to like kind of take a deeper look into like people who could have been radicalized, or do you think this is part of the larger psyop?
Are you talking about the guy who's coming in, the incoming guy?
Yeah, the borders are the badass, the guy who's always like saying he's gonna arrest the governors and shit. Like, we like this guy, but he's saying that that we need to look at military potentially for people who are being radicalized.
Was he a veteran? I don't know his record. I think he just worked.
No, he worked for ICE for most of his career.
Yeah, I think he should stick to that. Stay in your lane. I think stay in your lane on that. Listen, I don't know. Well, I don't know how deep. I won't go too deep in the rabbit hole. One, there's been multiple. You're constantly, when you're in the military, and it's been tried and true from other people. Anytime you post on social medias, you got to be careful, and it's something we're told since day one, since basic training when we went in. Be careful what you post. Pretty much the moment you're walking in, they have already tracked and looked at all your social media footprint. While you're in, you're constantly. I mean, I had buddies who changed their names and everything on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You know what I mean? They try to change so that if they can keep up with them. Now, whether that was effective, I don't know. But there's multiple times where there's a lot of things right in the military that it isn't public. CID is the internal, let's say, the great value FBI, right? I don't know, the detectives of the military, whatever you want to call CID. There's constantly, I think there's already enough pressure on anybody who is within the military. You can't, there's things you can't tell, man. There's these guys, what was going on was way more deeper. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been to work and people who know people that were depressed as heck, and you would have never known. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
there's things that no matter how much up security and how much more you try to control a soldier, you know what I mean? I think it's a load of bullshit. I won't go too much down the rabbit hole because you're the whole thing is it's a longer conversation to be had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, even with I don't know if you call it manifesto or whatever Sean Ryan said on his show with the email, and he went down the whole rabbit hole about 2019 and we committed war crimes in 2019. And that kind of even pissed me off, right? Because I think people don't realize that we try to, America, we try to be the face of righteousness, right, and all these things, and people look to us, and our rules of engagement try to reflect that, right? Uh, and I think people just forget how ugly war is, right? And there's never going to be a clean war. I mean, everyone's like, look at the Ukraine stuff. I mean, look at Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine and Russia, both sides have committed war crimes, man. They've done some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? Israel, in Gaza, some people are like, well, at first when the whole thing happened, everybody was in favor, go for Israel, get your revenge. And then they weren't. And wherever you stand on that, I don't care. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But anyways, war is ugly, man. And as a soldier, you sign up to, especially if you're in combat, MOS, man, you sign up wanting to do these things, right? And afterwards, you're going to say, oh, there's a war crime here. Man, I promise you, in his 19 years of service, he committed probably a war crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
19 years, he was in it, what is it? 2015, I guess, if they counted that, but let's say they didn't count, 2025, sorry. Let's say they counted 2024, 415, 2005 when he went in, right? 2005, he comes in, you're still in Iraq, the beginning of Afghanistan. You're going to tell me he hasn't committed a war crime when he was a private, nah, man, you're not going to tell me that. So, not to go too much down the rabbit hole, I think this guy should stay in his lane. I don't think that's his world. Don't get too power hungry, buddy. Stay in.
So you don't think that there's a bigger threat with that? You don't think that's like, you think that was like an anomaly, if not like a total psyop, where that was like we're not even knowing what actually happened there?
Yeah, I think there's no need to look so much within. There's plenty of patriotic Americans. There's plenty of patriotic soldiers. I don't think people are going into the military and saying, I'm going to attack from within. You know what I mean? There's plenty of things that are already in place to stop that. I mean, I remember at Fort Bragg when we first got there, we had a debrief. It was by CID themselves that there was a Facebook group that was made, or there's false pages, that were fronting to try to catch people. They had a guy who CID caught. He was trying to sell information, right? He was trying to sell intel to some China woman that came in, or a Russian spy or whatever, and they all got caught, man. So I think there's already systems in place. This guy should stay in his lane. I feel like what his plans are for immigration are great. And there's a side to this guy, Tom Holland, that isn't being showed. You know what I mean? There's one interview where he's basically almost crying. You know what I mean? And he's breaking up. That isn't really being shown to the public. But on this issue, I'll say stay in your lane, man. Stay nice. Don't come over to this side. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Humberto, what do you think?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I don't know about this, Brandon. I'm a big fan of Holman. And I don't know exactly what he means by looking into the military, like as Cam said, they have systems to weed this out. They're under constant surveillance, but there's bad apples everywhere. So, nobody walks on water, nobody's shit doesn't stink. So, so if they can look everywhere in a reasonable manner, that's one thing. But and you need to look at the military right now, Brendan. They're not making numbers. Like, it's already hard to get people to sign up.
Real quick, remind me about that afterwards, but keep going, Alberto. Just remind me about that. I gotta say something. Go ahead.
Then I have a bunch of veteran friends, and you see how miserable, like, after they go out, it doesn't matter if you like the war they fought, you don't like the war, you disagree afterwards or whatever. Like, I see my veteran friends being miserable, what we saw the last 3 years of how they treated illegal immigrants. They treated them way better than people that went out and fought for this country. We cover, I don't know if you were on the show last week, but they just took out of the budget the money for the people that responded, all the first responders from 9/11. Like, one of the guys was talking, he went through 76 chemotherapy sessions. Each one of those is $7,000, $6,000, and he went to 76. And they raised their salaries, and they took that out of the budget. So I don't know. Um, First responders, the military, I don't think it's the first place I would look. Like, if they turn every stone and they have nowhere else and we're still having a problem, I think everyone here, military, non-military, we're all humans. There's bad apples everywhere. But I think, like, if it was up to me, there's 1,000 places I would look first before going to, to people that are serving this country in any capacity.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, there's so many problems to fix and address. And I mean, I love so much of the stuff that Homan's been saying, but this is like probably like 20th on your list of things that you even need to be thinking about. Like, it's not even entirely clear that this wasn't a giant psyop yet. Like, the fact that we like had all these supposed answers so quickly after this thing happened, and like they were ready to go with going to these guys' houses and had like a whole narrative ready, and like we see a news crew going into one of these guys' houses, and it's like a Quran station and then a chemical station. Like, this whole thing feels super weird. I don't think that we could even feel safe in assuming like the narrative that we've heard so far. Like, it's totally possible that like this guy was a vulnerable guy, got like influenced, or MK Ultra that's the New Orleans guy, and then the Las Vegas guy, I don't think we know anything about that. So like the fact that we know less about this every day, I'm increasingly suspicious about it. And like, now that they're trying to create this military narrative out of it, very suspicious. I don't think Homan should be taking this position. I think he should be worried about deporting all the criminals first, which he's been promising to do. I think he could be very effective at that. But I think any notion of looking into military radicalization is like far down the list, if at all. And like, we need to get back to the position of like making people proud to be in the military, and like making like the proper hero making machine, like Pat always says. Like casting people who go into the military and like do a great job as like the heroes of society, rather than like having like the trannies be the hero of society. So what else did you want to say, Cam?
So I'll say two things. One, so actually, I found this out recently. I did not know this. So before, when I was recruited, or when I, was a recruit, whatever, MEP. So when you go, you take your ASVAB. That's where you get your ASVAB score. You get your contract. You go to MEPS. You pass medical and questions they'll ask you, and then you sign your like pre-contract, right? Like, it's almost like a high school guy, athlete saying, I'm committing to whatever school, and then you have your start date or your show up day, and then once you show up, that's your officially you signing your contract, right? Mm-hmm. But what I didn't know was back in the day, they used to not know any of your medical history at all. And actually, I just read out recently, somebody who I was just in class with, this kid who's 18 years old, that he went in to try to get in MEPS, and he actually got declined because now, MEPS has access to your medical history. Wow. And they have access to more of he had therapy before, and then he had to explain why he was in therapy. So on kind of recruiting numbers recently, when I heard that kind of made me wonder how much that's actually. I've seen actually videos like parodies on this where recruiters have made military recruiters have made parody videos on this because they're having so much trouble. And I wonder, and I never understood it until I talked to this kid recently, if that has a big role in effect with our recruiting numbers. Now the other one too, which I guess bring awareness, whatever you want to say. I think also people forget we have this understanding for CTE for athletes, right? You see now boxers, older boxers, all the problems with CTE, right? And because of TBIs, but people forget that military heavily get TBIs throughout their career, right? A lot of these guys who were in Iraq and Afghanistan's, they were probably in more than one or two explosions. You know what I mean? Probably have some CTE, probably have some undiagnosed things. So I think instead of coming on an angle of saying what is the threat within our military and with veterans and patriots, whatever storyline they want to tell, is how about let's say what can we do more for our soldiers, and what can we do more for our veterans? I think that should be the better angle on it, and I wish that would be the angle that it would be taken. Not so much as like, oh, how many of our veterans are threats to our society? I think that's a load of horse shit. You know what I mean? And maybe that's my inner veteran coming out. You know what I mean? But I think there's different ways and angles we could look at this, and should be looking at it rather than saying our veterans and our military are threat. But I'll just leave it at that.
That's a good point. And quite honestly, like I've said it for a long time, that our intelligence agencies, I think, are like the biggest terrorist organizations in the world and our greatest terrorist threat. Because I mean, we look at how big of a threat ISIS is and how big of a threat Al Qaeda and the Taliban is. But I mean, who started all those things? The CIA gave birth to all those things. They started off as rebel fighters who were trying to take down the regime that we were against, and we gave them guns and money. We're all happy to have them fight our proxy wars for us. But then, once we screwed them over, they turned on us, and they just have a shit ton of guns and money. And then they start becoming like wild rebels that start doing terrorist things because we treated them shitty. So, who is the real terrorist if you're creating the terrorist groups? And then you're going to have the audacity to turn it on your own citizens when you're the ones creating all of this. So yeah, that's why I was never too hot on the idea of working for the government. But I'm right there with you. Take care of the illegal immigration first before we start talking about this stuff. Holman. So a little bit of a fun story. So Joe Rogan was temporarily dethroned this week. Did you hear about this?
No, really?
Yeah. Who would you guess dethroned Joe Rogan?
There's only two people I would honestly guess.
Would you guess?
One, and I think would be Sean Ryan. And two, the only other person that I would think would be there, BBD.
Nope. Telepathic autistic kids.
Oh, yes. But
so apparently this podcast is claiming that autistic kids have telepathy. So, at the office all week this week, we've been like saying oh, what's in my hand to do the the test. But what do you think? You think there's
as soon as I heard this news, I called Brandon and I grabbed something. I was like, Brandon, what am I holding in my hand? And I
sensed him I'm not doing this.
He got so mad, and then I called him again and again and again. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you guys think? I mean, I'll go first. I think it's true because telepathy is definitely true because Project Stargate's a thing. The CIA, even though we hate them, they put a ton of money into telepathy and reading shit from across the country and whatnot. It was a whole part of the Cold War where we were doing the psychic stuff and our psychics fighting with the Russian psychics and all that stuff. So that's what the tax money goes to. So I think that's possible. I think that people with higher levels of. I don't even know how autism works. I guess there's like different levels to it.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, remote viewing. Thank you, Renee. Remote viewing is what it's called.
What level are you, Brandon?
I don't know. I never took the test.
Level 10.
Out of what?
I don't know, Brandon. Making stuff. I know
10 out,
nothing about autism.
10 out of 100 or 10 out of 10. I don't know. Maybe we should all take a test someday. But yeah, no, I think that this could be legit, but I don't know. I think that I don't know. Do you think it's like cool? This lady's just like monetizing this, or is it all in good fun?
I don't think. I don't think it's in good fun.
I didn't know if it was me or Humberto. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know.
Sure, I didn't designate it. Humberto, you go first. You seem to be opinionated on this one.
Well, I don't know. Good for her. Good for telepathic acoustic kids. Good for people that get that bag. People are interested in this. I heard them. It's really good. It's very interesting. I would recommend it. But I don't know how much water it holds. But if it's true, that'd be amazing.
Cam.
All right. I have a couple of angles on this. One, I think it's fucking badass. I think it's badass. I do. A couple things. One, I think it's showing how much we really don't understand the human brain, human beings, and autism itself, right? I think I very do so believe in this and think this is true. I believe it was even on Joe Rogan's podcast where they had talked about it. I believe one of the things was like the mother was on the other side of the door, and you know what I mean, and there was this whole thing on it. I believe it's if I remember, I didn't look too much to it when I first saw it. I was talking about kids with autism on nonverbal and things like that, right? I think it's super badass because it's shining light on more on autism, you know what I mean? And that we shouldn't just knock a child, an adult, a baby because they have autism, you know what I mean? So I think this is a very, very dope thing to kind of blow up. It's one of those times where I look at social media and internet and where I'm like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? This is awesome. This is like good stuff. It's like that positivity stuff, right? 1, 2. So on the telepathic note, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, whether you want to believe it or not. So remember back in the day, Brand, I kind of when I first came out of high school, one of my many ventures in life, I had tried doing massage therapy.
Oh yeah.
And I was just kind of just working at the restaurant, wasn't going to school, and my dad was like, "Dude, you got to do something with your life. Like, what the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like, I was working at the restaurant, but I wasn't working full time just yet, or I was. I don't remember. But anyways, so his friend was a massage therapist, very very successful, had made stupid money being a massage therapist, and it takes years, blah blah blah. 9-month course. I ended up only doing 3 months of it. But I was just like, it was 3 semesters. It wasn't for me.
Sure, love that.
One exercise. Oh, I paid for it. I had to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, that one came out of my pocket. But one of the exercises we had was you sat down on the massage chair. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other person, and so in massage therapy, intention is big. When you're starting, whenever you get a massage, you're always set right before you're about to give a massage, set your mind right. You know, some people have a prayer, you know, spiritual people, white energy, you know, whatever is their thing. But, you know, if you're giving a massage and you're thinking about how pissed you are about, you know, your significant other, your roommate, whatever, when you give a massage, somebody can actually end up really upset, and it's actually happened. If you start, and when you're in giving a massage, one of the things it's like, if you're aroused, the other person will get aroused. Or if the other person is aroused and you're giving a massage, suddenly you will feel aroused. It is there's like a transfer. I swear.
I know how that movie goes. I watched it a few times.
Yeah. So listen. So we're sitting down and we're at the top of the head, and so the teacher wrote something on the note, and there was a dead silence, and everybody. So there's 10 of us in the class. 5 of us are on the chair. 5 other people are just holding the head, and it was like the ocean, something like that, or a color. It was something like that, right? And they put up on the board, and then we had to write down what we felt, what we were feeling, what we thought. And I shit you not, 4 out of 5 people were spot on or right around what was written on the board. So it was like, think about the ocean, think about this color, and it happened over. And like the teacher's like, you guys don't believe me, we'll continue to do this. And so whether you want to believe it or not, whether you're like, oh, that's some bullshit, cool, but it's legit. So I think there's a lot of things we still don't understand. I think there's a realm of life that won't be able to be spiritual realm, that won't be able to be explained or understood. I think science is slowly more and more creeping towards it, more understanding it. And I think this is a very, very badass article. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably had times where you really want to call your parents or something, and next thing you know, you have a phone call from your parents. Or
100%.
Or you had that opportunity where you're like, fuck, I'm going to call my dad, and you call your dad or your mom, your significant other, or somebody. I feel like it comes to being somebody who you're really close with. I mean, I know me and you, Brandon, we've had those conversations before, especially when we live together. So I feel like it's like when you're really tight with somebody, it doesn't necessarily only have to be your parents. I've had times where I called my dad, right? And then I'm just like, yo, he's like, dude, I literally just picked up my phone. I was about to not call you.
Wow.
So I think there's things we can't explain. So I think it's legit. I think it's a very positive article.
No, I love it. It's a great story, great analogy. No, I'm right there with you. I think like just the fact that the like mainstream society like shits on the notion of like spirituality and stuff like this so much. I think that it like almost hits a nerve where they don't want us to think about it or talk about it because I don't know. It's like because it's a powerful thing. Think about it. Like puts everything into question. Like it puts their entire scientific narrative into question. If like there's this like whole other realm that you could tap into where you could like, what's up?
I think it actually goes deeper than that. I think it's by design that they're trying to take this spiritual realm away from us.
Yeah.
They're trying to make our lives empty and without a purpose. I 100% believe that there is more things that we can, explain or put a finger on it. But I had my mother call me, and I called her at the same time that we both got busy tones. When the phone is busy, like exact same time we dial the phone. And you see me around the office, Brandon. I'm guessing things all the time. Like I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing, oh, this guy, that guy, she's not feeling well, whatever. And we're just so distracted with our heads on our phones and mortgages and this and that we don't take the time to think deeper and try to get in tune with our superpowers.
Yeah, very well put. It's like, I mean, it comes down to like a vibe, like the whole vibe. You feel somebody's vibe when you're around them. You could feel if they're like upset or happy or whatever without even speaking to them. So I mean, that's not nothing. And that's why prayer and meditation is a big thing, because like you could change your entire state just by like thinking a certain way or tapping into something. So that's like, it's all super legit. And the harder that mainstream tries to push against that, the more I believe in that stuff. So I'm right there with you guys. I think that they're onto something with this, and it's a cool story. But we are about at 90 minutes on the dot. Nice and tight. I like the way that the show went. This is nice.
I have one last question. Did Cam ever practice back rubs on you?
No. I've never gotten a massage from a dude, never like it. And it's such a paradox, by the way, because like I could never get massaged by a dude because that's gross and I wouldn't be able to relax. But women's hands are always too weak for what I actually want them to do. So it's like I need like a chick from like Iceland or something, like a Viking chick. That's the perfect suit. But I haven't come across that in Florida.
Should we tell the story of what happened when you ordered the massages for us from Massage Envy? I think it's a great moment for that story.
Oh man, I'm a little foggy on that. You can tell it.
I can tell it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, hey. So funny story to end it on.
I don't even know what you're about to say, but it sounds funny.
Oh God, this is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I know. Oh, that was so annoying.
Oh shit! All right. So at the time, me and Brandon are living in Texas. I had my Massage Envy membership, and I had a bunch of massages stacked up. So I was working at the kitchen at a restaurant, and I was like, I was texting Brad. I was like, "Hey, dude, can you schedule a massage appointment for us? I'll pay for your fucking massage." You know what I mean? I sent them one of my massages I have stacked away. And so Brandon made the appointment for us. So I was on my day off. We go to the massage, and then two masseuses come out, and they're like, "Okay, Brandon with me, Camilla with me." I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Yeah, both at the same time. Interesting. Usually it's like one brings you, then the other one." And so next thing you know, they bring us into the room, and it's a couple's massage.
I'm like, come on. What?
I got a video of this thing, man. I still got it, dude. And I was like, Brandon, are you fucking kidding me? You got us a couple's massage? I was like, Brandon, I was like, we gotta clarify. I gotta clarify, bro. I can't come back here.
So wait, but you're missing a core hilarious part now that I'm remembering this.
Wait. You guys go through with it?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, it's already paid for.
What?
There's
What
no,
are we gonna do?
So pretty much it wasn't like we were like you know what I mean, like they're both beds. It just was like rooms that were right next to each other.
But you know what bothered me even more than that, though, to be honest? So, like, so first your lady comes out and it's like this like fit young like 25-year-old like hot Spanish chick who was like kind of toned and in shape, and like I'm like, oh god, I hope that one's mine. And she's like, Camilo, and I'm like, fuck. And then this fucking 85-year-old lady comes like waddling out, like, looking like the wind could blow her over. She's like, Brandon. And I'm like,
so obviously like, we're getting ready and we're just laughing. We get in the bed. So throughout my massage, the lady's like, "Tell me what enough pressure you got, right?" And I'm like, "You can go a little more." Boom, she hit it perfect. Like it was just the right. All I kept hearing throughout that massage, what's the 80-year-old lady going? "Is the pressure okay?" And Brandon's like, You can go more and harder. Okay, I can only go so much. And she I mean, you just heard her struggling. And every 5 minutes, Brandon would go, yeah, can you go a little harder? Not once that I remember that shit. No, that's funny.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Like it looked like the lady that was the police commissioner of New Orleans the other day.
Yeah. Oh man, that was funny. That was a good.
So I was more bothered by the old lady thing than the couple's massage, to be honest, because that was just a waste of an hour. Like nothing happened. I could have had like the wind blow on me and it would have had the same impact.
Brandon, for your birthday, I'm getting us a couple's massage, so you
gotta do it.
At least make sure it's not an old lady. At least make sure it's not an old lady. Like somebody you could do something. But on that note, now you know a little history. But this is a good episode. I like this format. We were pretty efficient. We hit like 10 stories in 90 minutes. So like this was good. Yeah. We intended to start a little bit earlier. I think the normal start date's gonna be like 8 o'clock, 8:30, ideally not 9:30. But that said, guys, if you want to know more, if you want to ask questions about what we spoke about, or if you want to know more about anything, you can connect with me or Humberto Minnect. I don't think Cam's on Minnect yet, but he knows a lot of shit, so you should get on Minnect. And if you want to follow along with the book of the month this month, check out the Forbidden Book Society. It's in the link below. We're going through the Federal Reserve conspiracy. We're like, I think a big question with Trump battling with the Federal Reserve is like, who actually owns the Federal Reserve? So that's the next piece of the Men Who Broke America Rothschild series. That's in the playlist, Men Who Broke America. So we got all that to look forward to. That said, we'll see you guys tomorrow night because we're doing this every night now. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being on, guys. Love you too. Any last words?
It was great. It was great.
Love you, Brandon.
Yeah, really like stellar close. All right. See you later, guys.
Much love. Good night.
Much love. Thank you.